How money's invisible rules turned citizens into perpetual loan collateral, the hidden contract we never signed. Slow zoom into a dollar bill. The texture revealing symbols, signatures, seals. They say money is freedom, but what if the real purpose of money isn't to set you free, but to bind you? What if the modern financial system quietly treats every citizen, not as a taxpayer, not even as a voter, but as collateral? Because somewhere in the shadows of global finance, in documents you've never read, in meetings you'll never attend, invisible rules dictate something shocking. Your future labor has already been sold. Your debt isn't yours alone, and your government is borrowed against you. Keep watching, because once you see how the system really works, you'll never look at your bank balance the same way again. The rulebook nobody made public, old financial documents, central bank halls, trading floors. To understand how citizens became collateral, we need to step into a world that rarely makes the news: the bond market, central banking, and sovereign debt agreements. This is a world shaped by politicians who signed loans they never had to repay. Bankers who turned national debt into the world's safest investment. And institutions like the IMF, World Bank, and BIS operating as global referees of creditworthiness. The public knows the headlines. Country takes loan, interest rates rise, inflation spikes. But behind those headlines is a truth that almost no one explains. Governments don't repay their debts. Citizens do. And in order for that system to function, there must be rules unwritten, invisible rules, ensuring that everyday people remain profitable long after the loan is taken. This didn't happen overnight. It's a story that stretches across centuries, shaped by wars, depressions, revolutions, and the quiet rise of financial engineering. The moment people became collateral, let's rewind to the early 1700s. Nations were fighting expensive wars. Armies needed to be fed. Empires needed ships, cannons, and credit. But kings and governments kept facing the same problem. They were running out of money long before they ran out of enemies. And that's when private bankers introduced a revolutionary idea. Borrow against the taxes your citizens will pay in the future. It was genius and dangerous. Because for the first time in history, a government could promise money it didn't yet have. As long as it could guarantee the productivity of its people. People, not gold, became the foundation of national wealth. This was the first step toward the invisible rulebook. How national debt became a business model, industrial revolution, factories, early banks, European parliaments. By the 1800s, the system had matured. Central banks emerged, bond markets exploded, and governments realized something powerful. Debt wasn't a temporary emergency tool. It was a permanent engine for growth. Every major nation adopted the same formula: borrow money, spend money, expand the economy. Use the expanded economy to justify borrowing more. It was a loop, a profitable, addictive loop, and it required one crucial ingredient: a population working harder every generation. That's when the shift happened. Governments started creating social systems, school structures, even tax codes that nudged citizens toward one identity: the worker whose primary duty is to support the machine. You weren't becoming collateral by force. You were being guided into it. When money stopped being real, then came the 20th century world wars, hyperinflation, and economic collapse. But the real breaking point was 1971. The moment the U.S. detached the dollar from gold, money lost its anchor. From that day on, cash became nothing more than a promise, and promises can be printed. Governments discovered a new superpower. They no longer needed gold. They only needed citizens willing to work and pay taxes. Money became infinite, debt became infinite, and in the process, did your obligation to the system. When money became limitless, so did the demand placed on the people backing it. The invisible rules take full control, graphs rising, red lines showing debt explosions. From the 1980s to now, global debt hasn't grown steadily. It has skyrocketed. Global debt in 1970, $2 trillion. Global debt today, over $315 trillion, over 90%. Of countries operate in perpetual deficits, and here's the terrifying part. Most of that debt is secured not by assets, but by tax revenue projections, which means your work, your income, and your future purchases are already counted as collateral before you even earn them. That's the invisible rule. The system only survives if citizens stay indebted, productive, and compliant. To maintain this, Governments and banks use subtle tools that shape everyday life. 1. Inflation that quietly steals your wealth. The more your money loses value, the more you must work, pulling you deeper into the cycle. 2. Interest rates that manipulate your behavior. Lower rates push you to borrow. Higher rates punish you if you don't. 3. A credit system that measures human worth numerically. Your credit score becomes a financial passport and a form of soft control. 4. Housing markets engineered to require decades-long loans. The dream home keeps you tied to a bank for 30 years. 5. Consumption culture designed to keep you spending because spending boosts GDP and GDP justifies more borrowing. Most people think they're choosing their financial lives, but in reality they're obeying rules they never knew existed. Failed fixes: why the system cannot correct itself. Governments have tried or pretended to try to fix the system. But every fix leads to a deeper problem. Printing money leads to inflation. Raising taxes slows the economy. Cutting spending angers citizens and risks elections. Raising interest rates gives causes recessions. Every solution contradicts another solution. It's a trap with no exit because the system was designed to grow, not to stabilize. And so, inevitably, the burden falls back on the only part of the system that can't escape you: the citizens. The collateral. Modern parallels: history is repeating in real time. Japan owes over 260% of its GDP. The EU faces unsustainable pension promises. Developing nations struggle under IMF conditional loans. And governments are responding the same way they did in past crises, by increasing surveillance, digitizing money, and tightening control systems. Digital IDs, programmable money, and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are being introduced with comforting language. But behind the scenes, they offer something dangerous: the ability to control how, when, and where you spend your own money. For a citizen treated as collateral, this is the final tightening of the chain. History isn't just repeating, it's accelerating. 3 takeaways: what you must remember. 1. The financial system depends on your productivity and debt. Your future income is the backbone of national credit. 2. Money is no longer a store of value, it's a control mechanism. Inflation, interest rates, and credit scores shape behavior more than laws do. 3. The rules are invisible because visibility breaks the illusion. If people understood the system, they might stop participating, and the system cannot survive that. Closing warning: the chain is only invisible if you don't look at it. We reliving through the climax of a system built centuries ago, a system where governments borrow endlessly, banks profit endlessly, and citizens carry the weight endlessly. But systems break once enough people understand them. The question now is simple: when the next crisis hits, will we still play by the invisible rules, or will we finally start writing our own? Final call to action.